from Melissa's Creations, and I have a very special episode for you because it is the creators blog hop. That is right. I'm so excited for this blog hop. Our theme is birthday, and I have decided to use the Amazing You sale-a-bration set as well as the Lots of Lavender sale-a-bration set for this card. So these are the two stamp sets we're using today, and I picked a couple of images from each one to feature on this super fun double slider gift card holder. That is a mouthful, but when you see what it does, you are going to be blown away. So we are going to pull on the ribbon and ta-da! There it is, our double slider with a gift card. Now, this is a fake card, so if you try and use that number, it is not going to work. But you can just slide your gift card right in there, and then you can just close it again. Isn't that fun? I am so in love with this super cute card. I can't wait to show you how I made it. Let's get started. Before we begin, I wanted to give a shout out to Julie Davison, who created a YouTube video where I got most of the dimensions for this card. I did tweak it a little bit, but I wanted to share with you those dimensions that she shared with us on YouTube, as well as my alterations to this card to make it a gift card holder. So the first thing we have here is a standard card base. This just measures 5.5 by 8.5. We will do some scoring in a little bit. I also have a piece of designer series paper here. This is from the Fresh Florals designer series paper stack, and this piece here measures 4 inches by 6 inches. I have two pieces of Whisper white cardstock. Both of these measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And I have 3 pieces of Berry Burst cardstock. Each piece measures 2 1/2 by 3 1/2. And I have a little scrap of Berry Burst cardstock here. This piece measures 1 inch by 2.5 inches. This is the little magic piece that is going to help us hold our gift card in place. Another item that you will need is a cello bag. This is the 6 by 8 inch cello bag from Stampin' Up. We're just going to be cutting off a 1 1/4 inch strip from the open end of this bag. We're going to start with some stamping on our Whisper white pieces, and then we will get into assembling the card. The first item we're going to stamp is the front portion. So I have these two stamps that are from the Amazing You stamp set, and this stamp, which I've done twice on here, from the Lots of Lavender set. So we're going to bring those in. Now I do have mine double mounted here, so I can save room on some of my blocks, and I don't have to take my stamps off and put them back on every time. So we're going to start with the floral image from the Lots of Lavender set. That is this image right here. And I'm going to use Smoky Slate Classic Stampin' Pad to stamp that onto my Whisper white piece. So we're going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp one at the top and one at the bottom. While we have our Smoky Slate, I'm going to take the fun Starburst, half Starburst image from the Amazing You and stamp that in Smoky Slate as well on my other Whisper white piece. Now, using our Berry Burst Classic Stampin' Pad, I'm going to stamp my sentiments. So the first one I have here is Amazing You, and we're going to be stamping that onto the piece that goes inside with our Starbursts. So I have double mounted 2 stamps on here. I have the Amazing and I have the U right underneath it. And I have tested this on a piece of scratch paper to make sure that I like the placement before I actually stamp it on my project. So I'm going to be lining up the flat edge of the Amazing with the straight edge of my Starburst right here. And then I'm also going to center the U on my paper. And now I have my Let's Celebrate stamps double mounted onto my D-size acrylic block from the Amazing You. We're going to stamp those in Berry Burst on our outside Whisper White piece. I have a couple of our Stampin' Write markers here. I have one in a Berry Burst and the other in Old Olive. I'm going to color in the flowers from the Lots of Lavender set just to make them pop and stand out a little bit more. All right, now that we have that all colored in, we're going to embellish our outer piece using the gorgeous glitter enamel dots. All right, now that we have our two pieces all stamped and embellished, we can bring in a couple of our card mats, the little mats that are going to go behind these guys. So we're going to use our snail adhesive to get those stuck down. And we will set those aside until we're ready to use them. We're going to create the little pocket for our gift card to slide in and out of. So I'm using one of those inner card mats as well as this little scrap here. And what we're going to do is take some washi tape and tape this little portion down to the bottom edge, just like this. That way we're going to create a pocket for our card. So I have some retired washi here that I'm going to use on this. You can use any kind of tape that you have on hand. You can use Scotch tape. I've also used tear-in tape that works just fine. I just don't tear off the backing. I just leave the backing on when I put it on. But I'm going to just go ahead and use this retired washi because I think it'll work just lovely. And then we're just going to wrap it right around just like that. So half is on the back and half is on the front, and that kind of creates our little pocket. And we're also going to put some tape on the two small edges here. And now we have a pocket for our card to slide in and out of. All right, let's get our card base assembled. So you can either use your Stampin' trimmer or your Simply Scored tool. I prefer the Stampin' trimmer because we are going to be trimming just a little tiny bit off of one of the edges here. So the first score that you're going to want to make with the long edge at the top, we're going to start at 2 3/4. Again at 5 1/2. And finally at 8 1/4. Now, since this piece is 8 1/2 inches wide, I just like to line up the right edge with the 1/4 inch mark and score it that way. That way I don't have to swing out my arm if I don't have to. All right, so we have our 1/4 inch score here and then a score here and here. So we're going to trim just a tiny bit off of the edge opposite from the 1/4 inch score line. We are lining up our edge between the cutting track and the actual trimmer. I'll try and zoom in far enough so you can see exactly where I am cutting. We're just cutting off basically 1/8 of an inch of cardstock off of that edge. All right, now we're going to do some punching. Now I'm using a 1 3/8 inch circle punch. This is our old whale tail style, but it still works. I just haven't replaced it with the new style yet. We're going to punch half of a circle out from the middle panel. Now I have the 1/4 inch score line on the left, so I'm punching out in the middle of the middle panel here. I'm just going to line that up and punch about half of that circle out. Now I have our classic label punch. I'm going to use this on the farthest panel from our 1/4 inch score. So on this panel here, I'm just going to stick that in and cut out half of that punch as well. So you can see that I just have half of it in there. So we're just going to give that a punch on both edges. I'm going to use my bone folder to get some nice crease lines. So we're just going to fold that over, crease, and crease this side. And then to coax this, since it's such a small score line, I'm going to use my fingers to kind of bend it over first before I use my bone folder to crease that. All right, set that aside for a moment. Using the Stampin' trimmer one more time, we're going to grab our cello bag. This is the 6 by 8 inch cello bag. And with the open end, I'm going to cut off 1 1/4 inches. So on the open end, I'm lining that up with 1 1/4 on my trimmer. And then we're going to cut. So now we have this band here. From the cello strip you cut, you're going to cut off about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch from one of the edges. So now you have a long strip of cello. We're going to wrap that cello around our card base. So just like this. And you can see that it overlaps slightly. That is what we are looking for. I'm going to use some of my tear and tape adhesive to adhere the cello back together. So I've put my tear and tape on the edge of one of those ends. I'm going to tear off the backing, fold over any extra overlap. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm pulling my cello fairly tight, and then I'm going to relax it a little bit and push it just a little bit forward. Now, depending on how much slack you give this, it may be super loose or it may be too tight. So the best way that I've found is just to pull it tight first and then loosen it up just a little bit and stick that down. You want to be sure that this flows freely and easily around that track you've created. And if you have any extra bag, you can just simply cut off that little end, and there you go. Now we're going to take the 2 pieces for the inside of our card. These are the pieces that are going to pop out of our card. On the first card I made, I put my gift card on the bottom, but on this card, I want to switch it. Make sure that my gift card is at the top so that it doesn't fall out when the recipient works the mechanism. So the easiest way to get your placement is to fold up your card, and this is going to be the front of your card, and this divot is the top of your card. So the piece that you want at the top, you're going to slide into the front pocket. So here's our middle, and it kind of has created 2 little pockets. The piece in the front goes in the front. So I'm just going to slide that right in. Okay, and we're just going to hold that in place while we slide in our other piece. Now be mindful of how it slides in and out. We're going to put it in the back. So in our pocket here, it's in the back behind our middle piece. We're just going to slide that in like this. Now this is the easiest way to get your placement so that you can get your pieces glued down. So I'm going to open that up, and here I know that I'm going to be adhering this piece upside down on my cello sheet here. So I'm going to scoot this aside, and I'm lining this up with the bottom of the card. I want to take some tear and tape, and I'm going to put it right at the top where my card is going to lay down. So I'm using this kind of as a guide, and I know I want it to go right about here. So I'm going to put my tear and tape down and take this off, wrap that extra bit around here, and now I'm going to line up my card. And I'm lining it up with both the bottom edge here and the side of my smoky slate card base here. That'll be in the middle. Okay, so I have that adhered down. Now I want to do my other side. So I know that this is the pocket for my gift card, and let me slide the gift card in just so that you can see a little better where that pocket is. This is how our piece will be glued down to the cello sheet on this side, right side up. So I'm just going to scoot this over, and again using this edge here as a guide for the placement of my tear and tape. Okay, so we're going to put this right here. Tear that backing off. And again, if you have any extra hanging off the side, roll it over onto itself. And now we do the same thing. I'm going to line up the top edge and the right edge and stick that down. Okay, so the last step before our card is assembled, we're going to put some tear and tape on our 1/4 inch little flap here. So get this out and start sticking that down. Now your tear and tape will be wider, just a hair wider than this flap, which is okay. You're just going to need to either trim it off or fold it back onto itself. So we're going to tear that backing off, fold the end onto itself. So now we have that all covered in adhesive. We're going to fold our card back up, and when we go to glue it together, make sure you do not glue it to your panel piece on the inside. You want to glue it to the card base itself. Okay, so I'm going to pull this card piece here out of the way and then fold this over. So I'm just going to, I have my finger in there so that it doesn't stick before I'm ready for it to stick to itself. And now I'm just going to line up those edges and just kind of press that seam together as I go down the card. Okay, there we go. So now here is the top of our card, and when you pull it out, yay, it works. Fantastic. Now, because I changed the placement of where my card is going to be, I want to cover this up so that they can't see that there's a card in there. To do that, I'm going to take my 1 3/8 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to punch a piece out of the coordinating colored cardstock, and I'm going to set it down in here so that it covers up that card, and then I'm just going to kind of bend this around. Okay, we're just kind of getting a placement. So now I have a score line there. I can pull this card out a little bit, and what I'm going to do is put a little bit of that tear and tape on the back of this circle, just on the piece that folds to the back of the card. So I'm going to tear that off. And now I can put it, get my placement once again. So when my card is closed, it's going to go right here. I'm going to pull that card out and adhere the back to the back of that card. I'm just going to wrap it right around, just like that. So that's what it looks like on the back. And now when I close it, you cannot see that gift card anymore, and it kind of conceals what's inside. We're also going to be putting some ribbon on here to help us pull this open. I'm using my Kre8tion to get a large punch, a large hole punched out of that circle that we made. So I'm just going to find the center, and I'm going to get as close to the top of the card as I can. Punch out a hole. We're using the metallic edge ribbon in Berry Burst on this card, so I'm going to fold it in half and then fold it in half again to make it as small as I can so I can get it in through that hole just like that. And I want to make kind of a little loop, so I'm going to just have it like this, and then I'm going to trim it and glue it to the inside of that circle. And to do that, you can either use some Scotch tape, you can use some washi tape. I'm going to use my Terran tape. So I'm actually going to punch one more of that circle, and this time I am going to tear off the backing. I'm going to take this off for a second, and I'm just going to sandwich that in just like this. Okay, so now we have concealed that ribbon there, and I'm going to fold it over, and we're going to glue the bottom to the back side of that card there. So a little bit more Terran tape right on that circle, and we're just going to glue that straight down. Okay, so now when we pop in our gift card and we close this up, when they open it, they can pull on the ribbon and voila, there it is. All right, now that we have the inside all done, let's work on decorating the outside. So we have our designer series paper. We're just going to finger crease it around our card. So starting on the front, we're just going to crease it around until it meets in the back and line it up so the edges are even. We're going to use some snail adhesive on this side to adhere that to our card. And then we're going to use a strip of Terran tape to put it on one edge of that DSP. And we can close that together. And now we're going to take our front embellishment with some Stampin' dimensionals and adhere that down to the front. And there we go, creators. There is our super fun double slider gift card holder. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos. In the comments below, let me know which version you prefer, the one we did today with the berry burst and the smoky slate, or the other one with the old olive and crumb cake. I think it is so super fun how this card works, and I love that double slider mechanism. Thank you so much to Julie Davison once again for giving us the dimensions on her YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to head over to my blog and scroll down to the bottom of this blog post so that you can click on that next button and continue hopping for the Creators Blog Hop for March 2018 with our birthday theme. If you don't already have a demonstrator, I would love it if you shopped with me. You can get all the supplies that you need on my website at melissascreations.com. Just click on the Shop Now link or click on any of the products I used in my blog post, and it will take you to my online store. You can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/mcreations and on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest with the handle at mcreations. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!